Hey folks, Dude here, coming at you of all things Thursday, July 7th. And this is kind of brings us to one of those how did we get here kind of moments. Still fighting it out with the back, just a bit. More case now of just simply now I've gotten to the point where I'm not just like one big clenched knot of muscles, and I actually can make some headway. Now, case in point, if you guys have ever had a back injury, by and large, there's nothing that you really can do other than just, you got to deal with it, okay? Pretty much every single thing that you do in the process of you motivating from point A to point B, or in the daily interactions of you exercising, just, waking, eating, sleeping, even so much as sitting down and standing back up, obviously, all these things come into play. People really, truly don't realize what it's like when you have a pre existing injury and then, secondarily, all your muscles going and trying to make sure that the injury doesn't get worse. Now, I can tell you from my own personal experiences, I've had a bad back ever since I was a little kid. I actually did a crush injury on my back when I was a child, so I broke my back when I was a kid. It's really one of those things is just, it is how it is. And once you jack it up, it will not ever improve. Now, I did actually see an osteopedic guy, and he's pretty much like orthopedic. He's pretty much like, no, I really don't see the reason to go in there and do anything. It's like, well, that's great. What am I doing now? Playing a Jack Kennedy and eating medication and riding a back brace? And he's like, pretty much that's what you got. So literally, I can't have anybody go in there and fix anything or tune anything up. I mean, it is what it is. Secondarily or tertiarily, I have sciatic, the shooting pains, the good turn every once in a while, and something kind of goes and doesn't like it much. Sitting and driving, which I used to do as a career, is probably about the worst thing I possibly could do to myself, but it's how I earn a living. I mean, so case in point, sitting and bouncing around the truck for 20 some odd years, 25 years almost, things wear out. So case in point where I'm at now is, I was already sore to begin with. And I said, you know what, I got some free time, I'll do some Ubering. So I literally went out, drove Uber for about 4 hours or so, and that is literally all it took for me to just go chink and lock down even tighter, harder, and more hardcore than previous, to the point where I'm now going, oh crap, it's about a 3 or 4 day recovery. Now, case in point, I can do the hydrotherapy thing and go in the pool and swim around and some stuff, but you have the secondary problem I have, which is pretty much I have a blown left knee. For me to do just your standard, overarm stroke and kick and stuff, it hurts, man. It hurts. The knee is telling me there is a lot of stuff that is not in there right, and I'm having a lot of loose and floppies, and I'm feeling tendons going, dude, just don't, okay? So I literally can only do certain kinds of strokes. I literally can only do certain kinds of swimming styles. And by and large, some of that stuff that you need to do is now compounded by the fact that I have one injury fighting with the other injury, and it's permanently jacked up. I mean, that's just how I am. Now, those of you who have ever had a back injury, and I've had some, conversations back and forth with people going, oh yeah, well I've done this, I've done that. let me break it down to you real quick and simple here, okay? Medication is a band-aid on a hemorrhage. It is not going to fix anything. Only thing you're getting there is pain relief, and if you're not moving around and you're getting pain relief, you're actually compounding the problem. The very, very, very best thing you can do is something called TENS or STIM. And literally what it is you're taking something and you're zapping yourself with a form of electricity, and it does two things. Number one, it overloads the nerves, and it freaks them out to the point where they're going, I'm supposed to be giving pain response, but I don't know what to do here. So when you get to the point where you're now jacking that thing up to like maximum level and you're really frying yourself, you don't have the sting anymore. It's more just a case of everything's relaxing and relieving itself, and you also are so freaking out the muscles that the spasm reflex has been knocked down. You also increase the blood flow, so it is a good, non-invasive, cheap therapy. I mean, you basically take this guy for like 40 bucks, 30 bucks, whatever it is. There's other ones out there. I rather like this one. There's generic forms of this one. They're about 30, 40 bucks on Amazon for 4 AAA batteries. You're getting a hell of a lot of bang for the buck, man. Quite literally. Now, also the other thing too, you got to start moving around as soon as you can, and I do mean like very carefully. I mean like when I start talking loud, I feel everything tense up a little bit still, but you have to start moving around as soon as you start can move and kind of twist around and do things a bit better. You need to start going through light range of motion. You need to get up and walk around. You cannot just sit still for hours and hours and hours and hope it's going to get better. You can't do that, okay? You have to get up. You have to move around. You have to stretch it to the limits without stressing it further. You have to be very nice to your previous injury, and you have to work yourself through with a kind of homebrew form of occupational therapy. You have to learn what's your limits, and you have to know how to approach your problem and get yourself out of trouble yet again. Now, one of the other tricks I do, because it's my lower back, like L4, L5, lumbar, L4, L5, counting up from the pelvis. One of the other tricks of the trade that I've figured out that works for me is I'm a stomach sleeper. I can't sleep on my back. It just doesn't work. After one of my or couple of my or most of my knee surgeries, my leg was pretty much locked in about a 45 degree, 60 degree bend, and it was a real bear to try to get it straight again because everything was so not happy after being wrenched on by the doctors. Now, I was forced to sleep on my back. I tried to do a variation on that by sleeping kind of like semi on my stomach and not putting pressure on my knee, putting a pillow underneath my leg. Well, one of the other things I found out that works for me is when I go to sleep, I'll put a pillow very, very low on my stomach, if not like on top of my pelvis. So I am actually forcing myself to either radically hyperextend bowing downward or be dead flat and not kind of dishing myself into the mattresses. That does work, and it helps a lot. So all these kind of tricks of the trade things that I've kind of figured out along by the wayside has been pretty much just almost a lifetime. I did it when I was fairly young, but almost a lifetime of figuring out how to get myself in and get myself out of trouble. Conversely, I can tell you for a fact, as I've gotten older, the injury not gotten worse, but it's gotten harder to deal with because, your body ages, you just don't bounce back as fast as when you were a kid. I mean, I wrenched out my back one day. I literally was, years and years ago, I was outside my car, and we'd have a frost. I mean, like, it was like, nice day, sudden frost. So I went to open up the driver's door, and I was standing on ice. The door was stuck closed. All the weather stripping had basically frozen to the car body. Wrench, ka-snap. It opened, and I literally whiplashed my body and slipped on the ice, and that's all it took to throw my back out. Well, I happen to be working at a fairly upstairs kind of computer supply place, and I was carrying 80-pound printers up and down the stairs with a blown-out back. Not fun, but I could manage it, and in the process of doing so, I was in really pretty good shape at the time, and in the process, I was getting myself worked out to the point where I literally kind of worked through the pain, worked through the injury, probably made it a little bit worse later on in life, but I worked through the injury and, of course, got myself back to some standard thereof of previous status. Now, any of these things that you do to yourself, you have to learn your limits. You have to figure out what works for you. By and large, I can tell you for a fact, number one, drugs don't work, except for non-steroidal anti-inflammatories for like the first or second day. I will load up on Motrin for about the first 2 days, and I will stop. I won't do any more. And the reason being is because it's anti-inflammatory. All these tissues that are aggravated, everything else is kind of not happy. What you're trying to do is you're trying to knock down the swelling, you're trying to get blood flow reestablished, everything to stop kind of like being congested. That's one of the properties thereof. Yes, the pain relief does help to some degree, but you're still putting a Band-Aid on a hemorrhage. You're not fixing the base problem of getting yourself back to being mobile again. Number two, I would definitely recommend, truly, you guys get yourself one of these TENS units, T-E-N-S, TENS, or a STIM, S-T-I-M. TENS or STIM. Those machines are infamously good, cheap, simple, stupid, and they work. The only thing that's wear and tear on them is the sticky pads. They're good for a couple times and they stop sticking so good. And if they don't stick really good, you're going to get zapped because you have a bad connection. Oh, it's going to sting, man. It's going to really sting because you're going to have this bad connection kind of going, and it's giving something for space to have happen and start arcing, and oh, you're going to feel like a spark plug in a car engine. It is not good. Make sure you always have good contact with the contact patches. If they wear out, buy more. They're not that expensive. You can get them at Walmart, any drugstore. They're around, like pharmacies. Those guys usually have them. And there's a couple of variations you guys got to look for. The basic one is pretty much just, it's a socket with a little pin that plugs into it, and that's your connection. They're pretty standardized, okay? They're pretty easy to find, and once they wear out, you'll know because they just don't stick. If they don't stick, you got bad connection, it's going to hurt. Don't do that to yourself. So anyway, on the length, depth, and breadth of me going back to previous status of semi-mobile, I'm in process thereof, and I have noticed market improvement. It's just going to take another couple days for me to get back to snuff of my baseline, and it is what it is, okay? Anybody that has a back injury knows it is not a quick and easy proposition once you get messed up to come back to where you were previously. It is what it is. You have a lifetime situation that's just going to suck. All right, folks, so this one I'm going to break off. Eco keep tethering as always. You know it. You love it. Oh, back injury suckedness. Ugh. Oh, don't do that to yourself. You can avoid it. See you guys.